am Negan.
I am Negan.
What's up, people? Welcome to another episode of I Am Negan, a TWD Universe podcast. I am your host, Adam Vale, joined by Richard Bailey Jr.
What's up, listeners and viewers?
What is up is right, because this show, this season has been, it's been very interesting for Fear, because Fear, it's definitely been on the good side. I'm enjoying it. We had that one little hiccup 2 episodes back, but overall, every episode has been a shocker, and this one's back on track with that. I mean, this before we even were gonna record. Remember, I'm watching this. I'm like, right off the bat, I'm like, are we going down this road? Is this gonna be one of those side? Oh, she's having a weird dream type of situation in regards to Grace. But man, this ending, this. All right, so before we go into it, everybody, if this is your first time listening, we are going to do a full review and discussion of the episode, and there's a lot of spoilers. So if you didn't watch it, go ahead, go to AMC Plus. You can watch it there early. If not, you can just come back on Sunday after the show airs and join us. But man, this is we got some stuff to say about this one. So I'll give you a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, we're getting into this. This was crazy, man. This was crazy. I don't know when you started watching if you picked up on anything interesting with this, but this very unexpected. This is This is very unexpected.
It was unexpected. The time jump ahead was interesting because it made me think of the time jump on the regular Walking Dead.
And that was the thing when it first starts off. So we'll just start getting into this. So this is a big. This is I think the most screen time we've seen with Grace. Because she's had some moments here and there, but this is it. She wakes up. She's in a field. She's looking up at the sky. It's a beautiful day. Next, you know, we got to walk around her. She's having a little fight, a little tussle, and then a young woman comes with a staff and just starts kicking ass. Kills this walker, kills a few more, picks her up. It's like, come on, what are you doing here? What's going on? She thanks her. She's like, oh, wow, you're pretty good with that. And she was like, yeah, you know, my dad, he showed me. It's like, once she said that, I was like, you're using a staff. That's not the typical go-to weapon in the apocalypse. Usually it's like a bat or something, and then just your dad. And then, but we do see Grace, and she keeps touching her stomach, and obviously there's nothing there, which is also weird. And so this whole, right off the bat, I'm like, this has to be a dream. That's the first thing that popped up in my head. She's dreaming, something's going on. And she's like, well, you know, you look pretty banged up. Come on, let me bring you to my camp. And then she heads over, and it looks completely different. Now, and later on, and I'll just say it now, she calls it the Wall. She gives this camp a name. As of right now, we don't have an official name. Morgan's never named it. This is just like his spot. But she brings Grace over to it. And sure enough, the door is open. And we see old Morgan with the gray beard and all that. And I don't know if that's the look. Come on now. Is that the look you think Morgan would really go with as he gets older? I can't picture that.
Well, Morgan. Well, I guess Morgan grew out his hair in all of those years. And just decided
it looked like Papa Smurf. No, that didn't work for me. I don't know. I would think I would think he would go clean shaven. I could see him shaving it off, or hell, just grow it out and do dreads like Ezekiel. You know, just get grizzled with it. I know that's my plan. I always tell my wife, I'm like, I don't think you understand, because I used to have long hair, and even like 2-3 years back, I shaved it off, but I had it up to my shoulders. I remember Tony over at Throwdown. He's like, when he saw pictures of me with that, he's like, I don't know if I should pray to you or not, because you look like Jesus. Look at you. Yeah. So, but I told her, so when I get older, as soon as my hair starts going gray, I'm growing it out, and I'm gonna dread it, and that's it. And I'm gonna sit on my porch with a staff And this is before Morgan popped up on the scene. But I was like, I want to sit on my porch with my staff and just heckle everybody that walks by my house. I'm going to be that guy on the block. I'm like, oh, damn, you seen that old man Vale? Yeah, he's a fucking prick. Look at him. I don't know. That's my whole thing. But anyway, Morgan definitely has an interesting look. So I'm like, all right, so they're older. And she recognized him. She's like, hey, Morgan. And he's like, do I know you? Right off the bat, I'm like, something's not even right here. Because we see her as Grace.
Mm-hmm.
If she was really Grace, wouldn't he recognize him? Like, wow, you look a lot like this chick I used to date.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the right off the bat that where it threw me off. And I'm waiting. Then again, we don't really see mirrors here. So I don't know. Because I was like, well, maybe this is not her. Maybe it's a out-of-body experience or something like that. But anyway, so she goes inside. And he's like pretty much giving her a tour. And she's saying, don't you remember me? I'm Grace. He's like, you can't be Grace. Who's telling you this stuff? It's like, no. And she starts going back memory lane. Remember we did this, we did that. We see those little flashbacks of them hanging out together, early scenes. And he's like, oh man, how is this possible? It's like, I don't know. I just woke up in the field, the whole thing. And then one by one, people start coming. Our familiar faces. We see Dwight. He shows up. He's older. He's chasing around a little boy. Turns out, oh, that's his son. Oh, and Sherry's there. And they got a newborn. It's like, oh, wow, isn't that great? They got back together and had a baby and did the whole thing. And then we also saw June show up. She's a little older. She says she's a doctor now. And she's like, oh, a doctor? I'm like, well, first off, she could be where the hell she wants. It's not like she had to go to school. There's no schools. So if you want to call yourself a doctor, you can do it. But for some reason, Grace is taken back by this. She's like, whoa, a doctor? It's like, what do you mean? She was like, oh, yeah, I used to be a nurse. I'm like, you can be whatever you want at this point because you're the only person semi-qualified to take care of anybody. So doctor it is. So I don't know why anyone's shocked by this, especially Grace. But anyway, she's there and she has an assistant, and it's Charlie. Charlie is now, what, 20s, right? Earlys. Everyone's older at this point. And so Morgan was like, well, instead of you telling everybody, who you are, we'll just, introduce everyone else to her. So no one knows who she is. And that's why I'm like, well, if no one's recognizing her as Grace, maybe she's not Grace. Maybe what we're seeing is something completely different. And I was hoping we get to like that quantum leap moment, when Scott Bakula would look in a mirror and he would realize he was somebody else. You know? And he's like, oh man, oh boy. That's what I was expecting here. But then even that would feel out of place. Yeah, because it's like, wait, what just happened? It's like an alien abduction? What's going on here? At this point, everything is a little off, and it's throwing me off with all of this.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, what did you think of all that? Just from this point, that no one seems to recognize her. No one's saying, wow, you're Grace, welcome back. None of that stuff. Because that's the other thing. Morgan shows where Grace that he knows is, and she's in the ground. Right? She passed away during labor. He said, oh, yeah, she died, and we have a daughter. She gave birth to a child, and it's Athena. And he's like, oh, where's Athena? Oh, I want to see. Is she okay? He's like, oh, yeah, she's fine. You met her, in fact. That was the girl, the young woman, I would say. She's in her 20s, right? Looked like she's in her 20s. She's like, oh, yeah, she's the one. That's it. So she's okay, because the whole radiation thing was like, no, she's fine, but our Grace passed away during childbirth. That's pretty much it. So before we go further, what did you think of all this right off the bat, seeing everybody older and this weird alternate reality? Who knows? Alternate reality, what's going on?
Well, I mean, I was a fan of the time jump because I'm curious to see. I was curious how some of these characters would survive. Now, I will say, I do have two criticisms of this episode. The other one I'll get into a little bit later, but in regards to what you said about the nobody remembering her, that kind of makes me question, well, how important was she to Morgan? Because if it's someone that you care about, a potential, love interest, I kind of feel like if it was really that special, you're going to remember that person one way or another. Even if you see them later, and you may think, well, my eyes is playing tricks on me, but I would still remember who that person is. So I did think that was a little odd.
What I was hoping also was at the end that when we get to the point and we find out what's really going on,
Mhm.
that when they would show some flashbacks like she was showing with Morgan, that maybe they would show some flashbacks from this, and that everybody else was seeing her as someone else, like some random face.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense because not one person looked at him and was like, you know who you look like?
Hmm. Yeah. No
Nobody.
one.
And then he
And
had. All right, keep going. That's right.
and again, they hit the point home that everybody changed because Grace died, and and the fact that now her daughter is the one that is around, and but if she is that important, where because of her death, all of these things changed. Like now, Dwight has kids. He got back with Sherry. All this other stuff. I think if someone sees her, they're going to recognize and say, "Wait a second." Even if they said you look like Grace, that should be something that stands out. So that's why I said I was a little confused that they didn't know or remember who she was.
Yeah, it's also a little interesting when he said that. It was like, oh yeah, once his baby was born, it was like world peace among the groups here. Like
Yep.
everybody, it's like she was like, oh, well, where's Alicia and Lucy and Wes? Oh, they went to the baseball field where she was before her old group, and he didn't mention with the mom or anything. And I was hoping he would say, because then that would throw another little hint that maybe she's going to return. But no, he's like, oh, they're at the baseball. She has her own camp. They're all happy over there. And it's like, where's Al? And it's like, oh, Al's on a mission, doing what she did best, interviewing people. And he thinks that she's out looking for the chopper chick that
Hmm.
she had the affair with. And yeah, everything is cool. And then we even see Daniel, and he's doing his barber work. And who's sitting in the chair?
Uh,
Our boy Strand.
that now I did have to laugh a little bit at that because this is like I guess what 16 years later, right? Daniel's still alive 16 years later because I thought he was
Yeah,
pretty old.
yeah, and yep, yeah. There's a lot going on. Like that's what I'm saying. It's right off the bat. I'm saying something's wrong. This
Yeah.
is it. There's got to be something going on here, right? So anyway, now we get out of this, and it's Morgan, Athena, and Grace, and they're going to pick what's it, berries or something. They're trying to get something. It was like they're getting some supplies, but she has the key part here is that she has headphones on
Hmm.
with a Walkman, tape cassette Walkman, which threw me back. I'm like, where are you getting batteries? Where are you charging these? Come on now, and you're listening to music, and she can hear it. Grace, and she was like, "Oh, you're listening to In Dreams." That's Roy Orbison. She's like, "Oh, my husband, he loved that song or something." I was like, "Oh,"
Hmm.
so I didn't know the name of the song. Athena said, "I just listened to it. Yeah, it's from my mom. My mom wanted me to have this." And that's another weird. I was like, Mom, I don't remember ever a tape cassette or anything. That's not something that Grace ever showed off,
Hmm.
right? I don't remember. So I'm like, all right, something's not adding up. This isn't making sense. So they're walking off, and then I think it was Athena that noticed the car, or no, Morgan. So one of them noticed. I was like, what's this? This wasn't here before, and it's a big open road, and you see this car there, and it's got markings, which is the end is the beginning, right? And it's sprayed across all around the car. So they're looking at it. Morgan was like, all right, keep your eyes and ears open. And he looks like he's just scouting the area. Athena's doing the same thing. They're trying to figure it out. And Grace walks over to him. She's like, she feels like she's having a deja vu moment,
Hmm.
and she's looking around and she's like, something, this brings back memories. Something doesn't seem right. And as she's getting closer to the car and she goes around, and that's where we could see that it's spray paint from all the way from the which is weird. It's from the right side to the left, going across the hood, saying that with the end is the beginning. And once she sees the whole thing, as we see it, it explodes, and it's a big explosion, and it throws her back. And she was the only one that was close to it, so I'm like, she's dead, right? that this has to be it.
Hmm.
And we hear she's like, she's blinking, and she's like, sort of, this is where we start getting this back and forth type of thing from where she is now and from the reality, because we
Hmm.
hear, Grace, you got to get up, and she opens up her eyes and she looks, and she doesn't see Morgan, but she hears him. And then Athena comes running over and it's like, oh, you okay? All right, we got to go, because this triggered all these walkers, and now all these walkers are coming. She's like, well, where's Morgan? And Dina doesn't say anything. She's like, come on, guys, just gotta go. But she keeps hearing. Grace keeps hearing. Morgan keeps hearing him. And same thing. Get up, get up, get up. And then that's when we get, I think, our first jump to the current time, and we see that it's Morgan and Grace, and she is injured of some sort. She's laying down, and he's looking out the window, and you could hear a bunch of walkers there, and there's some other noises, and we find out that it's the people from the holding. It's Riley and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they chase him. So he's like, Grace, you got to get up. We got to get you out of here. We got to get up. So this is right off the bat. I'm like, all right. I think it's at this point that she says, "Oh, wait a minute." She wakes up, not really wakes up, but she just has this revelation. It's like, "Oh, wait a minute. I'm unconscious. That's what's going on here. I'm not really." And we've all had that moment where we're in a dream, and you realize, "Oh, wow, this is a dream. This is not real." Mm-hmm. And then she's putting it together. She's like, "No, this isn't real." She's like, "This, I'm unconscious. I think I know what's going on here. You're not real. None of this is real." And the best is when Athena was like, "What do you mean it's not real?" She takes the staff and she hits it with it. She's like, "Did you feel that?" It's like, "This is real." And she does say she feels it. So I was like, she was like, "Yeah, but you don't understand. This isn't real. None of this. You don't hear Morgan's voice." "No, I don't hear. Come on, we got to go." And then that's when she says again, "We have to get to the wall. We have to go to the wall." And it's got to be the base, because that's where to go back home. So maybe that's not even the name, because again, this is all in her imagination. This is all in Grace's head. So maybe she's just filling in the blanks, like she said. This whole thing of seeing Dwight and Sherry reunite, have kids, and everyone's having a happy ending. This is all things that she wants in her head. And then she starts putting two and two together with the explosion. She was like, "Oh, the last thing now that I remember is I was with Morgan. We were heading to June's hospital. And then they did come across, I guess, that car on the road, which exploded. And it knocked her back. And this is where we are now at this point." So right off the bat, from that part there, was that a good reasoning for you for what was going on here?
I totally think, I didn't have a problem with them using the fact that she was unconscious to go back and forth between what's actually happening and then what's happening in the dream. The criticism that I have with this episode is that I think this would have worked better when they had the episode that we saw where Daniel pretty much, we realized that Daniel has some issues now mentally, right? And we're asking in that episode, what happened to Morgan, right? I think this would have worked better as an explanation of where Morgan was at that particular time. But I understand why they couldn't do that, because after the episode with Daniel, that's when we got introduced to Riley in the holding group. Mm-hmm. So I understand from that perspective, you had to meet that group and learn more about them before you can get to this episode. But I just think that it would have been better if, with the positioning of this episode, if this episode worked to explain where was Morgan at when all this stuff was going on with Daniel back at the other camp. Because it would have been better to, I don't know, because when this episode started, it's like it came out of nowhere. There was no build up to what was happening with Morgan and Grace after the last episode. So that's why I was like, well, what happened like between this episode and the last episode? Where did they come up with this whole thing? Well, okay, now Morgan is out again, and all of a sudden Grace is with him. I mean, there was no explanation for any of that. So that's why I was surprised when we find out, well, Grace is on the road, and clearly Grace should not be with Morgan on the road. She's pregnant. She's in a high stress situation. Why would you take her out of the camp? So there was no explanation for any of that.
Well, I guess it was really quick the way she said it. She was like, "Oh, the last thing I remember was with Morgan. We were on our way to June's hospital." So I guess
that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what she said it real quick. They only brought it up once because that was it. Because then after that, we get back into the real time, and that's when we can hear Morgan on the walkie-talkie talking to June. It's like, "Yeah, she's unconscious. What am I gonna do? What if she goes into labor? Can you get here?" And June is like, "We're a few hours away, but we can do a meetup point if you can make it to this meetup point." She gives a location, or he gives the location where he's at. And that's when she's like trying to figure out. She can hear it, and Grace's side, she can hear it, but she can't communicate. And I don't know where she comes up with it, but she's like, give me the Walkman. She takes the Walkman, and I know some people that maybe they're younger don't know, but some of these Walkmans did have a mic on it, so then that way you can record yourself talking and do those type of things, and also make bootlegs like we've seen in was it Good Times, or was it Happy? What's Happening? Sorry, What's Happening with Rerun, when he went to the Doobie Brothers show, and he was recording it, and when he got up to dance, he dropped the recording, and they're like, "Oh, you're pirating our concert." I don't know. That was an old episode, but anyway, it's an old tape player, and they did have that, so it is possible. But for some reason, she's trying to talk to Morgan from there, and he can't hear, but she can hear him through the headset. And she heard those coordinates, and she says to Athena, she's like, "Where is this?" Like, "Oh, it's up that. Then let's go. We're gonna go. Come on." So now they're trekking over to that spot, and they come across it was just some walker or goons of the holding, and they take care of them. But when they get there, that's the other thing that this is what really got to me. Is it because it does all this jumping back and forth. It does a lot of jumping back and forth. But the gist of it is that once they get to this, you could see it's a barn. And as they were getting over there, we also see that Morgan, and this is why I'm a little baffled with all this. She had her in a wheelbarrow, right? We see her in a wheelbarrow. And we can see from a top-down point of view, we could see as if like she's in a wheelbarrow looking up at Morgan. He's moving. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming, I was like, oh, he's running out the back door with her, because we could hear that the holding guys are outside. There's walkers out there. I'm pretty sure they shot a bullet, because there was like a shot that went in, and he's like, oh, we're freaking out. We got to go. Get up. But then we see she's in a wheelbarrow. But when they cut back to him, yeah, she's just there in the wheelbarrow in the barn, but they never left. They're in the same spot. So what was that not real? Was that not what she was thinking? I don't know. It was throwing me off.
Well, I guess they just wanted to remind you about the dream sequence, and I guess all this different stuff can happen in a dream. Well, one thing I didn't understand is why in the dream Riley's group is also after Grace, and then in real life the group is also after Morgan.
Yeah, like that's and I guess because I don't know, she could hear it, or this is just, I mean, we all have had dreams where it fills in the blanks and all kinds of weird things start happening.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing, because she does make it to the barn, which looks like the same exact barn. She gets in there, she starts looking around. They don't see Morgan. She's still calling for him. And on the real side, we see that Morgan he's moved all the way to the back of the barn into one of the stalls. He has her laying down. The holding guys are banging on the door. They're going to come in. They're screaming, "You have what we want." And clearly what this is going for is the key. And that's something that we have brought up before. Like, when is this key going to play a part? We still don't know what it opens.
Well, no, we do know.
Oh, we do? Well,
yeah.
What, the submarine?
It's the key to the future.
The key to the key to the future. There we go.
Yeah. Now, we don't know what that means, but obviously, I guess we're going to find out at some point.
Yeah, we're going to find out. So, while that's happening, both of these things start happening in the real time, because she's still unconscious. Right, so she thinks she's trying to reach out to talk to him. She made it to the location, to where Morgan is. He can't hear it. And I really thought that when she got there, she was going to wake up. Like, maybe it's like an out-of-body experience type of thing. And that did not happen. So they're there. They're looking around. And the door opens up. It's bright light. And we see the goons. The holding guys are there. Right? So here we go. They're about to have a fight. And then in the real time, the doors open up, and it's Riley and the goon guys there, and there's Morgan standing like, "Give us what we want, and we'll get out of here." Now, this is the issue I have with this episode. Morgan, you don't know what the hell this key opens up. Just give him the damn key. It could just, who gives a shit? Like, they even said it. They're like, just give us the key and we're out of here. Like, we're just... Let's just give us the key.
Well,
They sent. This is where we know for a fact he fills in the blanks, which we didn't need. We knew this, but he had hired somebody to go find the key. We know with the hunter when we saw the bounty hunter, and then he sent two people to find that guy, and they end up
well,
missing. So and that's why they put two and two together with Morgan.
so I think Morgan is still pissed that they rammed into his car. So that's why now he doesn't want to give up the key.
Oh, so he's pulling a John Wick, like you killed my dog. That's it, but you hit my car.
And you see, yeah,
You hit my car. And that's the funny thing that even with the key at that moment, he never said, "Well, what does it open?" He
yeah.
doesn't say anything. Why do you need it so bad? He doesn't say until later on in this episode. Well, not much of it, but at least like 10, 15 minutes later, he brings it up. But still, at this point, this would have been the moment to be like, what do you need it for?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you're over here harassing me in my life? And that you see I'm dealing with a situation here. Why? But nothing. He doesn't say anything. So then they're like, well, we're going to just take it. And he was like, all right, let's do this. And I guess they only had one bullet from when we saw before because no one takes out a gun here. And he just opens up a can of whoop ass with his staff. I mean, he's killing these dudes as if they were walkers and mushing and all mushy because he's putting that staff in their face. I mean, it's getting grizzled. He's taking them out.
I thought Morgan was a changed man, and all the violence and brutality.
No. To a point, he's trying to save his family here. Now, this is it. All that goes out the window. I was just amazed how he just went to town on them, kung fu shots, dropping them. And even with Riley, like he even jabs the staff right into Riley's shoulder. It's like, he could have killed him right there, but he pulls it out, and Riley looks at him like, this isn't over, and goes running off. And I thought that was kind of cheesy. I'm like, come on now, come on.
Well, I know they probably don't want to kill this guy off too soon since he plays such a major role, but he did get killed in the dream and came back.
Yeah. Well, that's it. He was on the road. He got killed. But then when he came back, and that's the thing we'll get, because I just wanted to cover his part of it.
Yeah.
And now we'll go to her part, because in real time they're both happening. We see that, Riley shows up with his guys, but they're Walker. They're zombies. There's the zombie holding guys. Kind of cool. I wish they had a guy who was just like that, who got bit, but didn't really convert all the way. How cool would that be? If we had a group, like, we had the Whisperers and they put the mask on, but what if we had like a weird mutation?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, I got bit. Well, did you die? Like, no, not really, but look at me now. Oh my God. You look like a walker. That would be pretty cool. But anyway, they're there. And so they have the whole big fight. This is now with Grace and her daughter fighting these guys off. And it looked like they killed them all. And then she lays down and she's like, I'm not going to make it. This is it. I'm putting two and two together now. This is why I'm here. This is to spend our time. I am your mother. She gives the whole speech about this. And she sort of told her, but I think she was a mother a little earlier on. But still, she gives it the speech again. It's like, this is our moment. This is us spending our time. Especially with the headset, with the Walkman, because she was listening to that song, I guess, when she was going into labor or whatever. Because we see her laying down, and she had the headphones on. When they start showing in the real time, and just to calm her down, and so talking about that whole thing. And wait, I think I missed a part. Oh, I did, because there was a horse. Remember the white horse?
Yeah,
that's the part I missed. But there was really no point to it, because it just proved again, because we knew that she was unconscious and that none of this was real. But she had a horse appear, and they got on the horse, and that's when she started talking about the dad. Like, oh, you mean Morgan? No, you're biological. And he was a good man, and he's a handsome guy, and radiation and all that stuff. But I bring that up now because that's when she says, I'm not going to make this. I'm not going to make it out of this the pregnancy because of my health issues. So I'm going to die, but you're going to live on. You've proved it right now. You're going to be amazing. Look at all these changes you're going to make. You're going to impact a lot of people's lives. You're going to serve a purpose, which means I serve a purpose, bringing you into this world. So I'm cool with that. And then she sort of like passes out. But then next we see that Riley, zombie walker Riley, he's still there. And he picks up Thea and he slams her against the wall. Athena, I'm sorry, and he slams her against the wall, and he's like, he sees the key, and he's trying to take the key because she has it around her neck, and it's like, oh yeah, Dad gave it to me. Well, Morgan, why? Like that doesn't even make any sense in that room. Like that, it's like what is going on with this? And then it looks all clean on her too. Like, and of course, this is all in the mind of Grace, but I'm pretty sure it was kind of grizzled looking. It was like rustic when we saw it in the real world, and this one's all shiny and glittery, and so that whole thing is happening, and it looks like he's just gonna grab it from her, and then he gets a nice jab into the head, and we got a Papa Smurf Morgan. Again, this is back in Grace's mind. He shows up and takes her out. It's like, you okay? He picks up Grace. Grace is now fine. Like, oh yeah. Okay, so this is happening. You're here, and so then we'll just jump back into the main part, and we have with Grace. She wakes up. She's there. She's not dead, and she starts talking to Morgan, and she was like, I have to give birth, and this baby is going to be special. And, Athena is her name, and he's like, what? It's a girl? Because remember, they thought it was a boy. She kept saying, I was like, no, it's a girl. It's a girl. I saw the future. Everything's gonna be great. Everything's gonna be worked out. This is it. We have to do this. We have to do it now. And then she puts I'm pretty sure they put the headphones on, because I don't think it was just pumping for us, for the audience. Yeah. The In Dreams or Orbison song playing, and they're doing this whole little montage of like the breathing and the doing the pushing and all that. And we don't, no June in this one, so I don't know how much time it took, but she did say they're like 3 hours out, so there goes that. So they're pushing and pushing, and I'm trying to think of the best way to explain, because I have it in my notes, but it's like, I don't like the fact that it jumps around a lot, because we do see that, we'll just stick to the main story. The main story is that she gets this baby out, she gives birth, and Morgan takes the baby away, and we don't hear it crying. We don't hear anything. And she's like, is the baby okay? How come I don't hear it crying? Is the baby okay? What's going on? And he turns around, and he's like, why? Why did this happen? And it's a stillborn. And yeah.
Oh, no, continue. I would say something after you finish.
Okay. Yeah, it's a stillborn. And that was a shocker. That out of all the things that I could have thought of, that did not pop up in my head. First, and I had told you before, I was like, they're going to throw a curve. It's going to be a boy. It's like, oh, it's a boy. I did not see this coming, that they were going to go down this road of just... And we had talked about this way before this episode, that how they're going to handle another baby in a group. We've seen other shows do the baby thing, and it's complicated, with Judith and all that stuff. How are they going to go down that road? What are they going to do? And this is how they handled it. They just did it right off the bat. It's like, boom, dead. So, that's it. Stillborn. Yeah.
So one quick point to add in prior to that is that once again Riley does confront Morgan, and Grace just tells him to just give him the key. Just give him the key, because this girl that I'm going to have, she's going to change the world. She's important.
Oh, I thought. Important. Oh, that's right. You know what? It's in my notes. Sorry, I put that in after the birth. You're right. That happened before the baby was born, and she was there, and they're talking. Riley comes back, smashes through with his truck into the barn. He smashes through, and he does the same thing this time, and he has his weapon now. He has his gun. He's like, "Give me the key." It's like, "What does it open?" He's like, "You don't worry about it." And this, and she was like, "Oh, he's already wrong. The future is here. The future is the baby." She's rubbing her belly, and it's like, this is the future. Yeah, and it was very biblical if you think about the whole thing. It's like, here it is, we're in a barn. We have a baby that's coming in with not the father that's there,
Yep.
So it's like, we never met the father, but she had said on the horse, he was amazing. He was a handsome, super smart guy, whatever. That's all we know. And so, there's a lot of connections with that. And the fact that she kept saying that this is going to be the future. This is going to be the one that puts everybody together, saves everyone. This is a John Connor, of this, this world here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's right. That's my bad. I had switched it up. So, but the cool thing with the whole thing, it just shows that Riley wasn't BSing. He takes the key and he backs up in his truck and leaves. He could have
Now,
just said, I'm putting all what that's going to be the future. Sorry, I got a cult leader, and it's not this little baby here, so I'm going to take you and this kid out. He didn't do that.
that's what I thought was going to happen. As she was sitting there saying, "Don't listen to him. Just give him the key." I thought he was just going to shoot her, or shoot her and kill the baby. I mean, I thought that was going to happen because I mean, this guy has a gun. He's right next to her. He could have did that and took the key and then did that. So
Yeah.
I thought that's what was going to happen. So I'm glad they didn't go that route, because they made it more about the fact that it was just a dream, and it was wrong. And that was, to me that was what made this episode stand out, because of how it ended with that shocking conclusion that yes, that she had all these premonitions about the baby being the future, and then you find out, well, this isn't the baby. However, it does open up the possibility that well, now her and Morgan can still have a kid. They can still have a relationship, because my whole thing is that that was never going to be Morgan's kid. And we finally saw in this episode, because I don't recall us ever seeing the father, but in this episode now you learn more about the actual father of the kid.
Yeah.
Uh,
There
so
were some weird flashes that they would show of a guy
yeah,
and his head bleeding. I don't know if that was the dad, if they were showing
yeah,
it.
that was the father.
That was the father, right? They were
Yeah.
showing those flashes, and so that was going on. And here's the other thing: maybe we're looking too much into this relationship between the two, because
Mhm.
she always embraces him with a hug. She never like kisses him or anything. We don't see that. Like even before
That's
when they
true.
reunited, it was a hug, and even in this one, it was a hug. It's never been. I don't know. They never really went down that road, and she didn't even say. She was like, "Oh, we're having a girl." No, she said, "I'm having a girl."
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I thought we were a couple. My bad. I'm just out here trying to save you and this baby, and be the father. And as you see, even when she was having in her dream state, the daughter was calling Morgan dad.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that's it was a lot of that, but yeah. So yes, but Riley just takes the key and he leaves. He backed off and he left, and then of course, and then he was cool with it. That's all he wanted. That's all he wanted. All this could have been avoided.
Yeah.
All this
But
could have been avoided, but whatever. But then we jump back now. Stillborn. She's freaking out. She can't believe it. He can't believe it. And then she's like, "Wow." Then this wasn't all those the dreams and everything she had. It wasn't about her final moments. It was for her daughter, giving
hmm
her final moments with her, which is still odd because it's like it's in her 20s. She came to visit you, and I don't know. All of that was a very odd moment, the way they played the whole thing out. But it was
well,
sad. It was definitely shocking.
it was sad. It was shocking, but now it changes the dynamic, because the whole thing about Grace dying is that they said, "Oh, she died and had a daughter," and that brought peace to the group. So now you can assume it might not be quite as positive now with the group, and things might not get repaired, because Grace has survived. The baby died. So I mean, I'm curious to see that.
I
Uh,
I mean, if anything, this could bring a darker side out of Morgan,
yeah.
because he could still blame the holding for this, because it was that explosion that blew her back, that knocked her out, and we don't know. Maybe that's the other thing, we don't know. She said that they were on their way to go see June,
Yeah.
right? So we don't know all what was going on. Was she having pains, contractions? What was happening?
Yeah, I think it
They
was. I think it was that. I
you
think it
know
was the contractions.
so that was already happening, and then this explosion, because the explosion definitely happened. It wasn't in her mind, because she's like, this looks familiar,
Yeah.
and that was it. It was an accident. It was explosion, and he says, "Oh, they're still out to get us," because he had said that on the walkie. He said, "We
hmm
came across, there was something that happened. They might still be around here. They're going to try to get us." So if anything, this might set him off even more to just go and kill them all,
Yeah.
because they just did this.
And
I'm sure Grace is not going to be the same.
But I think that was needed, and I agree with 100% with your point because it feels like this whole season, Morgan was trying to avoid killing Virginia, and in the end, he wasn't the one that did that. But now it feels as though he's going to have to take some extreme actions against this group, and that once again makes it a very interesting dynamic because we know that Alicia is with them, and if she ends up, siding with them and turning and
You
becoming a
think
part of
that's
that.
gonna happen? I don't see that at all.
Well, you said if her mother returns,
If the
then
if they go down the road with the mom,
yeah,
that could be a possibility. But then even then, if let's say that happens and then she goes after Morgan, and then Morgan then tells her, because I'm sure they're not gonna. I don't even think he would know. Riley doesn't know this. He doesn't know
yeah,
that. He knows it was a pregnant woman there, but he doesn't know that the baby is dead. So if something does come across and they start talking, it's like, oh, we're just you're gonna integrate you guys into the group or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but they killed Grace's baby.
yeah,
He's gonna definitely blame them. He has to. He has to blame them. He's got to blame somebody. He's upset. This wouldn't have happened. Then again, we
that
don't know. The baby could have been still in a stillborn in her stomach. We don't know if they even checked. I think. Oh wait, no, we do know because remember the assistant showed up and they were like, "Oh, the baby has hiccups." That Braxton Hicks the hiccups.
yeah,
But they were like, "Oh, you got to go check up." Because I remember I think it was my son, my daughter, one of them had that same type of thing. It was like, and they said it was hiccups. They said babies in the tummy can get hiccups, which is weird. But it was definitely interesting. That twist ending I did not see coming.
oh,
And that's a good thing. That's a good
well,
thing. This is what we were talking about Walking Dead proper, and this is what made Walking Dead so successful, that it would throw these curveballs, these unexpected, whether it's some main character deaths or plot twists or going to directions that a TV show normally wouldn't go. And this right here, this is definitely one of them. If there's going to be any episode that has a talking point come Monday that of on TV that took place Sunday night, this should be it.
yeah, I agree
There's
100%.
definitely all TV insiders and all those sites. Just like us, they've watched this already. But some of them, if they haven't already got their opinions out, they're definitely going to bring this up because we've seen a lot of things happen on TV. We've seen a lot, but I can't recall seeing something like this happen. And they show the body of this little baby, and he hands the baby over. Sometimes they'll just say, "Oh, the baby didn't make it," and
Yeah,
then you see the crying. You see this little baby with the arm limp,
hmm
and it's heartbreaking,
very,
and
very devastating.
yeah, and he hands it over to her, and it's like, well, here you go, you know, this is it.
Yeah. So yeah, it definitely was a bold move to do that. I do agree. That's going to be a significant talking point. After it airs. One question that I want to ask you though, really fast, is obviously this second half of the season has been fantastic. There's been a lot of unexpected deaths, etc.
Hmm.
How do you think they're going to top this? Because we haven't even gotten to the finale, but all of this stuff is happening in this so far in the episodes leading up to the finale. So, do you think it's possible for them to top this? What they've done so far?
I think so. I think there's a few people that they can clean up if they decide to go down that road. There's yeah, this is gonna be, yeah. I think there's plenty they can do. And the fact that they threw this at us shows that they're willing to go that extra mile to
Hmm.
throw us some curveballs that we don't see coming. So it's not going to be as always predictable. They're going to have a baby, and oh wow, it's not a boy, it's a girl, and she's yeah, okay, we get it. No, I didn't see this coming. If Grace was to die any other way, like even like you said, if Riley would have just, after Grace gave this whole speech about how she's gonna have the next Messiah of the apocalypse, that
Hmm.
he just shoots her and she dies, that I
Yeah,
could understand. I was like, oh, this is how they kill her off. But no, they didn't. Grace is still alive, and she seems fine after this, health wise.
yeah,
She because she thought she was going to die during childbirth, and that wasn't the case. So she will survive, and it's just a child that's gone. So yeah, how does their relationship progress? Now, is she going to take some of the traits that she saw in her daughter? Meaning, is she going to learn how to use the staff? Is she going to be a fighter? Because that wasn't really her role. Because she was been pregnant the entire time we've had her on the show. That's when they picked her up. She was like, so. Is her role going to change? Like Carol's role changed. Remember, she was just an abused housewife. That was a thing. Remember, with the husband.
Oh yeah.
And she look at her. She turned into the ultimate badass. She's still alive, right? She's cold blooded. So can Grace be that for this series? Because I know a lot of people say, well, it's Alicia. Alicia fills that role to a point, yeah, because of how her character has changed, but we haven't really seen much character development with Grace.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Yeah, and now this is it. This is the chance, because losing a child, especially like this, can change someone. This could change anybody. It's like, balls to the wall. I don't give a shit. Let's do this. So I could see her say, you know what? I am in my weird state. I had seen my daughter as this badass and this whole thing. I want to do that now. Now I want to be the badass. I want to have that strength. I have to do it for her. And who knows? Maybe it already got renewed for the next season, so they could do a time jump. I think it's too soon to do that, but they could definitely do it where maybe her and Morgan do have a child.
Yeah.
And they do decide that, hey, we're going to name this one Athena if it's a girl, and go down that road and do that. And they could do that and then bring back that actress. But then that means we're going to get Papa Smurf Morgan, and I don't want that. It's too soon. It's too soon.
Yeah, Papa Smurf Morgan and Old Man Rick. That'll be great.
They're gonna hang out together and like, yeah, what a life we had, right? Yeah, no, oh man. But overall, it had a weird beginning, but man, that ending really pushed this episode to a 10 for me.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, there's some minor critiques about the episode, but yeah, I think the ending for me really, the fact that it was so dark and things did not go the way you expected, I thought that was great. One other quick point that I would like to add in though, and this is just, I don't really know if I would call this a prediction. I find it interesting because, again, as you mentioned, we just mentioned a little while ago that the possibility of Alicia joining this other group. I find it very ironic that when this season started, it was about Morgan trying to track down all of the group. And now I'm thinking, if Alicia does decide to join this group, then by the end of the season, there may be some other people that also decide to split off and join this group as well. And that'd be kind of crazy because Morgan wanted to reunite everybody, and now because of what's happening, now people may have to switch sides, because I would imagine if a few of the other characters see that Alicia is being serious about this other group and her mom has returned, they may be persuaded to also rethink going after this group. So that causes tension within Morgan's group as well. So I'm curious to see.
You know what I was thinking, and I know this is going to be far-fetched in some people, but this is my little weird side story on this. What if that group, Teddy and them, what if they're able, the Holding, if they're able to brainwash her and have her think that she sees her mother, and they have a woman that looks like her mom. If there's some way that they can do that, they drug her, they do something, and that's like a control thing for her, and this is how they can control her. It's like, oh yeah, but this is your mom, and then it takes for some of the other members that do remember her, the mother, Madison, to say, no, that's not. I don't know. That might be going too far over, but I could see anything. That's why I loved about cults. Anything can happen. Cults are crazy. They do that. They can drug them. They brainwash their members. They throw everything at them. So anything is possible going forward
Absolutely.
with that. But then, like you said, with Morgan trying to reunite all the groups, he's already failed at that because
Yep.
Strand is still in Lofton with his people. Like, yeah, we're not coming back. Sherry, shit, yeah, I'm gonna stick with the creepy mask people. I don't even want to be with my husband. I mean, come on now. You know, it's like out of all these locations, his seems like to be the most secure because of where they're located at. It doesn't look like anyone knows that they're there, as opposed to Lofton and wherever Sherry, her little encampment. It's like, come on now. So it's a lot of little plot holes here and there. I mean, it's a little Swiss cheesy with the story with some of the things. The whole Sherry and Dwight thing should have been. Nobody saw that coming. Why would she not want to be with him? But then again, hey, she ran off and enjoys her new life. So it's just it is what it is. But it's going to be interesting. So right now, where we stand, we have this situation. We don't know what's going on with Daniel and his memory loss. They've already said, June said it's not dementia and Alzheimer's, that he's got some other traumatic thing triggering it, and hopefully that'll come back, and we'll see what's going to happen with the holding now that they have the key. Does it even matter?
Well, I hope it does, since they're telling us all season long this is very important to everything. So
yeah, unless it's gonna. Did you ever watch Lost? Did you ever watch Lost?
I never got a chance to watch the show.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of things, positive and negative.
Yeah, of course, yeah, because it's one of those. It didn't stick the landing. That's some people would say, but anyway, I bring it up because there was a bunker, and for the listeners who know what I'm talking about that did watch Lost, there was the whole deal of the bunker and the clock, and there was a big deal for many seasons about this, and it really had nothing to do with anything. It was a waste. And it was such a build-up for nothing. And I just hope that doesn't happen here with this key. We saw the submarine early on when we were first introduced to this group and what was going on. How does that play out to this? What are you going to do with the submarine? Where are you going? How? I don't know. Because remember, their whole purpose was the cleansing of the top side. Remember, it's like, oh, we're going to kill everybody. That's what we do. And we're going to start a new society underground. So, well, what do you need a key for? What? Doesn't make sense. You can't break open a door. You need to find this one key. But we'll see. I just hope they stick the landing when it comes to the story and the plot with this key. All right, people. That was our review and coverage for Season 6, Episode 12, In Dreams. I'm enjoying this. I hope you guys are enjoying this season. This has been great. And if you have, go tell your friends. You don't have to tell your friends about this show, but just tell them about Fear the Walking Dead. Because I feel it's not getting... It never did, besides the first season. It never really gets the attention. People just say, oh, well, it's just that spinoff. It's just doing the same thing. It's not doing the same thing. It's throwing a lot of different things at us. And if anything, it's keeping to the true formula of this, the surprises, like what we just saw in this episode, which makes it great. So let's try to support it as best we can. All right, people, we will be back next week for episode 13. Thanks again for following us on Spotify and subbing on YouTube and checking us out over at the Koalition and on iTunes. Thanks again. It's been great. We see some of the numbers, we see the counts, and goes without saying that we appreciate it because we enjoy talking about it. We like this show, so it's just great that others are also enjoying it. All right, people.
I agree.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so have a good weekend, everybody. Peace.